Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Bo3 TV, where it is currently 3 in the AM. Oh, God. I was like totally fine until I read that, and it just like hit me. Anyways, good morning. This is the clean cam angle. Someone, I'm sure today will ask in chat what's with the camera angle. So that you guys know the answer and perhaps can answer for me. It's because my room's a fucking mess, and the magic of pointing my camera at the ceiling is you can't see that mess. It's a surefire way to not clean my room. Bad hair? Yeah. Well, yeah, because dude, what do you think I did? You think I woke up like 4 hours ago, got my hair done, had a nice shave, fucking went for a walk? Bro, it's 3 a.m. It's pitch black outside. We have Supernova versus Zest. We have Armani versus Patience. We have Don Regu versus Tasia. DRG, the man, the myth, the legend versus Tasia. This is such an old school matchup. I'm telling you guys right now, I think for current day StarCraft 2, Supernova and Zest is like one of my favorite matchups on this bracket. But to see DRG versus Tasia, oh my God, that's going to take me back. And it's going to be in modern StarCraft 2. So this is probably going to be the sickest match. But Supernova does really fun stuff, so I'm looking forward to this one. Zound versus Cure, and we're gonna do all of these matches out today, every game. Third place is gonna be a best of one, whatever the difference is, like $5 in prizing or something. Yeah, 30 to 20. It's whatever. All this money comes out of Bo3 TV, just so you guys are aware. There's a matcherino for this. The money is funded. There's no like, please use coupon code Bo3. Like, it's covered. If you guys want to pump up that prize pool and reward these players a little bit more, by all means, please join the prize pool. But I'm just making sure everyone's aware that the prizing is covered. This is just part of our end of year budget. We're all good to go. So sit back, relax. We're gonna have some StarCraft 2 for the next few hours. Supernova versus Zest, best of 3. Shame on you. I don't know what happened with the screen region, man. Wardy VODs are great to fall asleep to. Say with his live casts, am I right? No, okay, for those who don't know, Wardy and I are good friends. It's totally just fun rivalry. In fact, we have a fun rivalry going on between our YouTube channels. About 3 weeks ago, we both noticed we were right around 9,000 subscribers. So I challenged him to a race to 10,000. We put $1 on the line. I know, big spenders here, but it's more about the pride. So unfortunately, Wardy is kicking my butt at present. He is getting much closer to finishing the goal, and I'm much further away. So I'm going to be trash talking because it's the only solace I can get in this loser's respite. All right, but we are putting all of that aside because we hop into game number 1. As mentioned before, it's a best of 3. Let's flip the names on the overlay because in the top right we have the blue Terran. Whoops, no, wait, what?
Supernova.
Hang on, did I miss one of the stands for this? Why is this? Oh, I was sitting on a piece of paper. Okay, pardon me. To the bottom left, in this amazing start to the day, we have the red Protoss.
Zest.
And quick question for everybody tuning in. Are the sounds okay? Because it's a little, weirdly enough, I'm complaining about the sounds being too loud. The sounds are actually a little low in my ear this morning, but I've learned that what's in my ear is not the same as what's in your ear. So I'll say really quick that if you guys think the sounds are too low, too quiet, you want me to change things, I'm totally looking at the feedback in the chat. But if you guys say nothing at all, then I'll just leave it as is. And turn off mouse scrolling. Okay. So Zest and Supernova. Let's break this down a little bit. They played in season 1 and they faced off against each other in the first best of 3 over there. So far, all quiet on the home front, and there doesn't seem to be any smack talking, much less a good luck, have fun. I think there's actually some serious play to this, because the last time they played, Supernova goaded Zest by saying like, oh, can you beat a streamer? I'm not even a pro player. And Zest kind of laughed it off, but then Zest started losing some of the game to him. So I think this time, this rematch, it comes a few months later, but I think there's some seriousness to it and a lot less goofiness to it just because of the way it went the last time. And as you guys can see here, Zest has started up a Stargate on proxy. Supernova is currently looking for something like this. Unfortunately, hasn't gone in the location that it was actually placed. This is weird to see, though. The Oracle right now, I think, is under some of the most heavy criticism next to Microbial Shroud. On one hand, you've got people saying Microbial Shroud just needs to be out of the game. It's a garbage spell for Zerg. Who cares? No one's ever going to use it. But for Protoss, the issue with the Oracles is the way the beam kind of doesn't focus properly. It won't be that big of a deal versus Terran, but you add in the fact that SCVs take 3 shots to kill instead of the conventional 2 for all other workers. Plus the fact that the Oracle's beam, like, to describe what happens, the Oracle attacks. You make it target an SCV, right? But if there's a Marine shooting it, rather than like go to the next SCV, it will physically churn to face the Marine and then churn back to target the SCV, which is not a significant amount of time, but when there's lots of little interactions like that, it really adds up. And if nothing else, other than denying some damage through miscontrol that the player has no control over, it's just frustrating. So we may see some of that here with the Oracle use. Either way, the first one gets in here and it's going to kill 2 or 3 SCVs by the looks of it. I'm going to guess 4 or 5 because Supernova doesn't really have a response to this due to being on the other side of the field. At the same time, it takes 5 shots from an Adept to kill a Hellion, and Hellions take 3 shots to kill a Probe. So you do the math of whether it's going to go war. Oh, forget it. I was going to hype that up, and then I got stuck at the Probe line. This really worked out badly for Supernova. He's trying to get a Cyclone out now as a means to help fend this off, but 9 dead SCVs leaves him in a terrible spot. Mules have been their lives have been exhausted and wasted. He'll kill one of the Oracles for this, but not before taking some serious damage. Down to 18 workers. Beyond frustrating. If Supernova had gotten more kills with the Hellions and this had been more like 25 to 19 or 30 to 19, this would be a lot more manageable. But at the present stance, this is terrible, absolutely horrible for Supernova. And I think what really sucks about this is Zest, when you do a proxy like this, it's a bit of a gamble. Let's not pretend like it isn't. And Supernova didn't see this because he scouted north. If Supernova had put that same level of dedication from that Marine, but went south instead, thus, the coin flip, do you go up, do you go down? This would have been seen. He would have been prepared for this, and this would not have done the damage it did. But I should highlight that while it did kill a lot of SCVs, and 13 is a pretty significant amount, this hurts, I think, a lot more just from the lack of SCVs in play, more than how many were killed. As he's got 2 command centers, obviously that's going to help bridge the gap. Mules are there as well, but income is going to favor Zest so very heavily. However, some rules to Starcraft, right? The economy takes time to really kick in. So while Zest uses his advantage to do things like build a Nexus and place shield batteries in his mineral lines, Supernova is going for a pretty concentrated push out to the front. I don't think this is enough to cause a lot of damage, but he can't sit home and do nothing. He knows this as well. Sadly, the Cyclone's the first thing taken out of the fight, and there's no amount of micro that's going to make these Marines take this. Supernova might just be super dead. Especially because Zest has no reason not to continue pushing forward. He did lose the pylon, so he can't warp things in super easy mode, but when you consider what's in play, there's not even a bunker. So, regrettably, I think this first game's a bit of a wash for Supernova, and Zest has absolutely run away with this. What's heartbreaking about it, too, was just how close Supernova was to seeing this coming and possibly preventing it. But GGs are just going to get called, and Zest takes game number 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 2, and seeking revenge. Spawning in the bottom right, we have the Red Terran. Once more, it's Supernova. With his opponent in the top left, the blue Protoss. Up 1-0, it's Zest. Zest, of course, is best, as we all know. But I think what's really unfortunate is sometimes we cast these games of StarCraft 2 where what happened last game gets into the mix. Oop, excuse me, hiccup. And Supernova loses really bad and just looks like, if it's your first time seeing him, you're like, who's this trash Terran? Am I right? Actually, hang on. Can I mock people accordingly? One sec. Yeah, people at Twitch chat be all like, who's this trash Terran? Am I right? I mean, who the fuck does he think he is playing in a Terran? No, okay, look, jokes aside, it was just a bad game. It happens. He flipped a coin and went north instead of south, right? Like, that could have been a completely different game. So I'm not going to count Supernova out based off of like one bad interaction. But this game isn't necessarily going to be better for him, I'm sad to say. Zest probe comes across the map to scout, and it does that classic thing that only the best pro players in Starcraft can do. And that's it realizes that there's a distinct lack of information, which thus gives Zest all of the information he needs. The big thing he scouts from this is the double gas, but I think Supernova is going to go for... Oh, the factory's at home. Bummer. I was saying, with 2 gases like this and the SCV idling where it was, I thought, oh man, he might actually proxy everything and go super all in with this move. But the fact that it's just a Reaper is not very committed. Oh. Is this going to be Marauders? What's the tech lab for? Starport starts up afterwards, goes for Banshees is my guess. But if this is something like Marauders, as fun as they are, Marauders are also kind of trash. And we'll talk more about that if it's Marauders, but I think it's a Starport. I'm very, very looking forward to a Starport. Do it. Do it. Build the Banshees. Show him who's boss. Yes. Okay, so I almost hate going back to reference Alpha Star for this because the games are outdated and Alpha Star's not playing anymore. Not at current, at least. But there's a cool TvP thing we've been witnessing out of the Alpha Star games I've been covering on YouTube. And side note, go subscribe to my YouTube, guys. ! YouTube in the chat. But Alpha Star has been doing these like Marine tank Banshee pushes against Protoss. And with really solid macro tends to overwhelm. Now, granted, those are like masters and grandmasters on the ladder. It's not the same as playing against a GSL player like Zest. I don't know that this will have the same benefit, but I can tell you this much. Zest, without shield batteries in the mineral lines, is going to lose probes. Even if you've got the observer out from this robo to see through the stealth, the Banshee still just pumps out a lot of damage. Also, man, this Cyclone just looks like, okay, with the Carbot yellow and the red, I don't know, this just feels like a Red Bull Cyclone. Like, not sponsored, by the way, but tell me that this doesn't look like the type of like Red Bull car that they would pull up to an event in, right? Like, maybe it's just me, whatever. Anyways, coming up around the top side, the Cyclone could maybe distract and let the Banshee in, or maybe the Banshee distracts and the Cyclone gets a snipe on a Stalker. Either way, there's a little bit of a combo coming out of Supernova, and as stated before, Zest knew something was up, just doesn't know what. Yeah, man, and thank you for the 28 months. Did I have a good Christmas? I got stoned and slept through all of it. Dude, I'm a gamer. I don't really have family. Christmas means nothing to me, but I hope everyone who did celebrate Christmas had a great holiday season. For me, it's just like, just get back to the grind, do more Starcraft, right? And New Abel, thank you for the 70 months. Another 70 monther. By the way, I've gotten into queue with one of the more talented emote artists on Twitch to try and get some cheer badges done, or cheer emotes done. So those should be good to go for the new year, hopefully, but I'm still on the wait list. Now the Banshee's like this. Oh, this is so clever. He waited for 2. Because if there was a shield battery down and he rushed in with 1, Supernova would achieve almost no kills with this. But by going in with 2, it guarantees the 1 shot on the probes, and with 9 of them, excuse me, going down, as I believe the Cyclone killed one trying to build a 3rd. Yes, he did. This actually puts Supernova in a great spot. Not quite the role reversal of last game and not dominating Zest. I mean, funny thing is he loses 9 workers and Zest is still up 9 workers. Cool Protoss, right? Chrono Boost is great. Balance wine, balance wine, balance wine. But this guaranteed that's like, by doing damage, he was gonna not suffer as bad as he did last game. Last game, Supernova just kind of took a beating and had no retaliation, no chance to make Zest feel punished for his moves. So with these Banshees out, repairs them up, maybe goes back in for round 2 type thing. They're gonna have a few more fights left in them for sure. Worst case scenario, they're just good for home on the defense as well. And that's is that Cyclone gonna get out here? No way. 4.72, 4.13. This Cyclone is getting back. Go home, dude. Homeward bound. Got a bunker in the front. You got the 2 siege tanks. I mean, even if there was like a massive blink attack coming, I think... Oh, the interception out of Zest. Oh, he's so good. I didn't even realize he'd sent the 2nd Stalker to intercept. That's brilliant. Anyways, Supernova is good for the early game, right? So check 1, check 2. This is already a better game than last game. But there's still problems for Supernova coming up against Zest. One of which is Zest has a 3rd base already on the way. Now it's Protoss. They typically expand a bit faster than Terran on average. That's not so surprising. But Zest is going to have a third base paired up with what is already Robotech. Colossus being pumped out as we speak. This bio that Supernova is going for, not going to do too well. Not against Colossus in the wrong position or a bad fight. And this 2-tank push timing, it comes a little bit like later. You bring a couple SCVs, you build some bunkers on the front line, right? And that's usually against typically just gateway units. But as I just mentioned, it's not just gateway units. It's probably going to be at least 2, maybe 3 Colossus for the fight. And while tanks can outrange Colossus super hardcore, they don't have the same splash damage. They're not going to wipe out the gateway units the same way the Colossus is going to wipe out the barracks units. I mean, these Marines are just going to fall over. But if he's sitting at home with this and not pushing, then he's in no real danger, can bulk up and get to that army supply to work with and play this game outwards. Maybe just continue using the Banshees for the harassment. But unfortunately, he's not realized there's observers over his army. He does catch this one. That was a nice scan, actually. I'm gonna miss my whatever colored butthole cheer mode. Wait, cheer emote I have. Oh no, it doesn't. What is it? The new. It's not badges. Excuse me. They're emotes. You're just gonna have different emotes unlocked. So, for example, people who have cheered 1,000 bits in the channel will have access to an emote that people who haven't cheered 1,000 bits don't have, type thing. So it's more than what you have, and it doesn't replace anything. This is still a new thing. So not everyone's going to know about that. Sorry if that's redundant information for anyone else out there. Continuing to scout above the base, this Phoenix has a pretty good idea of what's going on. There's no real mystery here. Even if it wasn't Marauders Marines, or maybe the production wasn't scouted because the hallucinated Phoenix got picked off, Zest has seen no third base and no evidence of a third base. But this is where things get really cool for me. I'm actually getting a little excited watching this push, because this alone is enough to give this a good fight, right? Add into the fact that you've got double drops up here and then 3 Banshees over here. Supernova's going to try and take like a triple hit combo on Zest and just try and completely tear him out of position. But Zest responded well to the main. He put a cannon down at the natural base with a shield battery. This push gets in, and this is the only one that's got some potential for big damage. I almost wish the Banshees would come over here and assist in killing the Colossus, because the Banshees, kind of like Vikings, can just fly over the army and target those down instead. Tanks get some okay shots here on the Stalkers. The bio ball's falling back. Here comes those Banshees, and they're going to target down the Colossus. The tanks just free firing. The Marauders looking good. The spread's all right. +1 weapons tearing through. Zest falling apart. The Supernova's triple push, and these 2 Marauders still firing behind the Mineral Alliance. Last Colossus does fall. Warpins are dead on arrival. Ladies and gentlemen, Supernova showing you what he's made out of. Making up for that last game. He's even kiting away from the... He's kiting away from the Immortal because the Immortal's going to blast away the Marauders. Letting the Banshees free fire on that was a good choice. The GGs get called, and in sub 10 minutes, Supernova takes game number 2. Spawning here to the top left one more time as we wrap up this series. Just tying it up, we have the Blue Terran
Supernova. Oh, I forgot I had the troll voice on. One sec. Let's just go ahead and make myself sound a little bit more sexy. Am I right, ladies? Ooh.
Okay, let's try that again. To the top left, he's just tied up the series. We'll put the cut in there for the VOD. It is the Blue Terran Supernova, with his opponent to the bottom right. His name rhymes with best. It is, of course, Zest. I see some people regarding the Banshee play from that last game. So I just want to be very clear that Banshees are not, oh my god, suddenly so good versus Protoss. It's not like there was a balance change and they became better than ever. But what did happen is people, I guess, started playing around the meta, quote unquote, of the game. And some Banshees getting weaved in here and there look really good. That game was one of those exceptions. I don't think Banshees are going to be like super standard anytime soon, but I would love to be wrong, because my favorite builds are watching people like Innovation and Supernova and others do like the Hyperflight Rotor builds, right? That's the speed for the Banshees, for those who don't know. And I would like to see more of that, but I think the main problem is Banshee damage gets so destroyed by a shield battery, so it's hard to use them for harass. They're pretty flimsy. They're not really units you want to have on the front line. They don't have the same range as something like a Viking to shoot from far away and stay safe, nor do they have the HP. So Banshees are really cool, but I feel like if you are going to rush into the ladder and try and use Banshees versus Protoss, you're going to lose quite a few games before you finally understand like the nuance that are Banshees. In fact, I would love to see Supernova go for them again, but it's probably unlikely. The coolest part about that game is that same push that we witnessed go through there could have had the same results if there was no Banshees in that army. If instead of 3 Banshees, it was 3 Vikings, they would have still free fired on the Colossus. Like, so much of that wasn't because Banshees, but Banshees made it look good. And the harass that they performed early on was super, super good too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount any of the good things the Banshees did, but I have seen enough TvPs and enough failed Banshee attacks to not quite be satisfied, I guess, with the unit. I think for me, watching that game, the real cool factor came in just from the fact that regardless of what unit Supernova had, he came in from 3 different spots, right? He hit the main, he hit the natural, and he hit the third. And even though Zest responded appropriately, Supernova was still able to just get the better position with those siege tanks behind that little alcove, and the bio was able to just split and take it from there. But more than anything else that I've just described, it was a 2-base all-in versus a player who wasn't playing all-in. Zest was going to be hurting a little bit because of the 3rd base and because Supernova himself didn't have a 3rd base. In fact, I believe I saw someone in chat remark a question about like no 3rd from the Terran or something, and that's a decision you kind of have to make in these games. It's not as obvious as it was back in the day of Wings of Liberty where you would pull the boys, right? Bit by bit and all that. Those are very clearly all-in moves. Terran do the same thing, but it's just a lot less obvious, which of course makes it a little bit more difficult to read. But oh, Zest is so clever. Does Supernova take the bait? He doesn't take the bait, but this does scout the armory. So to explain a little bit what Zest just did there, typically you make a Phoenix to scout with your hallucination. It's fast, and it gets there quick, and it gets the job done. The Oracle is a sick bait, because if Supernova saw this and thought it was a real Oracle for even a second and pulled the SCVs off mining for even a moment, beyond worth it out of Zest just to make that one small change. He's still got the scouting he needed, but I hope he reads this correctly, because let's be very clear. If you look at this, I don't think that this screams tunneling claw, or excuse me, drilling claws. But it's going to be drilling claws and widow mines coming out of Supernova. Now, the instant burrow is probably what he's going for here, a lot more than the stick around ability. You know, they don't reveal themselves. Widow mines, when they fire their shot without this upgrade, reveal themselves. Widow mines with the upgrade stay stealthed underground. Now, that may or may not be a factor. I don't think it will with the observers coming out already, but it's the fast burrow to almost guarantee a shot versus getting killed before you actually get the shot off. Christian asks a question, Rifkin, why so few tournaments use US schedule? I'm gonna need some clarification there, bud. Do you mean why do people not do stuff at more US friendly times? I can answer whatever the question is. I'm just not sure which direction you were asking. But hang on. There's a cannon, so like I said, detection really won't be the problem here. I think Zest did read this correctly, by the way, because he put cannons in every mineral line. Now, it's going to be difficult to find a spot to get in, but let's be very clear. Similar to Banelings, Widow Mines are so volatile, and they can be so game-changing if they get that right shot, that perfect hit. He's looking for an opportunity to get in there, but as you can see here, Zest is already on top of it. Oh, and Zest target fired? Oh, Zest, you're so good. For those who didn't catch what just happened there, it's a little piece of micro, but definitely worth mentioning. Zest's cannon was obviously attacking, but it would have continued auto-attacking the medevac. He target fired the Widow Mine to make sure it would die quicker. That's a pretty good move. I liked it. Sorry, I get excited over the little things sometimes with StarCraft. But okay, this drilling claws move didn't really work out. The follow-up from Supernova is mech, which is weird because mech is not exactly standard versus Protoss. But if you've been watching this damn channel, you've seen enough mech games work here and there that you're like, oh, this is viable. Also, I'm not quite sure why Supernova is going so heavy on bunkers. I guess he just plans to turtle in for playing mech, which is not an amazing move, but it's a viable one to say the least. Also, yo, is that the best rep paladin with a #1 parse on Shaz who just subbed to my channel? Octobers, what's up, dude? Thank you for the 4 months. Wow, you sound perfect volume on stream. What the heck happened? You know, I take back all the nice things I just said. Octobers is a pretty trash paladin who needs to be carried by 30 other people every week. And I hope one day he finds the ability to play a game on his own instead of requiring other people to hold his little baby hands. Because that's right. If you didn't know, October, I met him in real life. He has tiny little baby hands. He's a grown man with tiny little baby hands who clogs toilets at Airbnbs. Sorry, had to get that off my chest. No, thanks, Octobers. What's up, man? Anyways, regarding the U.S. schedule question, I can only really answer from my point of view. I can't speak on behalf of, like, you know, IEM or GSL or anything like that. But A, it's difficult to run stuff at North American hours because regardless of the fan base for Starcraft, there's less people awake at that time. Like right now when I'm live, it's great for Korea. People in the US are waking up and going to work if they're on the East Coast. Maybe turn up some Starcraft on their fucking drive. I don't know. And it's prime time for Korea and Europe, right? There's just a lot more people who could even be here in the first place, right? So that's why viewership for US stuff is always significantly lower. You don't have the whole worldwide audience. You just have like the US hemisphere, maybe Australia. But also, there's just players. And we'll talk more on that after. But look at this. This wall. This God mode wall with Widow Mines and tanks. Even with the Zealots charging in here like this, I think Supernova should hold this. They'll lose a couple of bloody tanks, and that's super annoying. But like the most army losses he took here were like a siege. I'm looking in a second. I'm gonna guess like 2 siege tanks and a bunker died. 1 siege tank and a bunker died. This was nothing, dudes. This was such a sick hold in such a gross turtly game. This Supernova's the guy you don't want to hit on ladder. Supernova's the guy who's gonna take you down with him an hour later. It's great. To be clear though, this is kind of necessary sometimes when you play mech, because no matter what the matchup is, TvP, TvT, TvZ, mech is one of these sort of combo of units that doesn't do well in small numbers. There's no splitting off 3 tanks and going for a hit and run drop. You have to get this maxed out army that's ready to parade push down the middle of the map in full force. So turtling up on 3 bases, what would ideally be 4. Oh, he's got vision of that. Is something you kind of have to do, not something you necessarily want to do. Supernova's ready to respond to this, by the way. He's got an interference matrix ready on that Raven, and that Raven looks beefy, by the way. So he can stop the Warp Prism at any given time if he wants. Does this have Warp Prism speed? He does. That thing is moving so bloody quick. But for Zest, okay, we've talked about what's going on for Supernova, right? Let's talk about what's going on through Zest's head. You got to get through mech. Well, there's 2 units in the game that pretty much shut down most mech. And it used to be the carrier. It's not anymore because Thors are so good. It's Immortals and Harkons. Sprinkle in Zealots in between, and nothing that Supernova has is going to take a great fight. Maybe unless Liberators get out of hand. Who knows? But Zest can also just expand because Supernova's turtled in, because Zest knows he's not going to be taking 100 bases on the other side of the map. He can leisurely take this 4th and 5th whenever he wants. He just has to make sure Supernova never really takes a 4th or 5th of his own. Also, we got Shadow Strike on the way. You all know who I'm going to give a shout out to here. Fear Dragon, of course, needs to watch this VOD and be happy. But this is actually an upgrade that beyond memes makes a lot of sense for this particular matchup. If Supernova's going to have like a Widow Minefield down and a bunch of siege tanks behind it, the best thing to get through that field would just to be blink through it and get on top of the tanks. Drag some of those Widow Mines, get some friendly fire. You know what I'm talking about. So I think Zest is making a lot of really good moves right now. And it's going to be really this. It's the siege on Supernova. Can Supernova be broken? We got missile turrets taken out. The Warp Prism, Zealots, the Storms charging in. Liberators sitting here mostly uncontested. Liberators are going to win this battle, by the way. Zest will never push up this ramp because there's nothing to take care of the Liberators. Now, oh, Command Center saved? Command Center saved? Yes, it's getting repaired. Command Center saved. Good hold from Supernova, but very expensive losses this time around, unlike last time. Both players suffer, of course, but I think Supernova hurts a little bit more until, and this is the important part, the 4th base gets established, whether it's a planetary or an orbital. And he's going to make it a planetary. I kind of almost wish it was an orbital because if there's going to be a ton of immortals on the ground, you want to be able to lift up and fly away, right? But the planetary also guarantees that you're not going to have to worry about zealots running by, because the planetary will take care of it. And Zest, as I mentioned before, can just continue to expand all over the map while this goes on. I think we're going to see some storm drops, so I'll try and keep an eye on that on the mini map and not get too distracted. But all in all, lots of Thors, lots of Liberators. The missile turrets were serious MVPs in that battle, by the way. But the thing that's funny is, like, all these missile turrets and these odd bunkers, etc., they create this kind of maze that Zealots and Archons have to go through, so it ruins the attack for them. Also, Hellbats coming in down here. Now look, Hellions take a million years to kill buildings. Hellbats don't. Hellbats actually hit for a lot. But the Warpins will keep this from getting too much done. Hellions will continue to try and run around the outskirts of the map. With Blue Flame and +2 weapons, it's an easy 2-shot on a lot of these probes, because Zest doesn't have, like, plasma shields, which I think factors in at +3 weapons, but it won't matter because Zest is about to have, or excuse me, Supernova is about to have +3 weapons of his own. So these Hellions of Blue Flame will just run around, and if nothing else, this gets A, scouting on the army, so he now knows where Zest's army is without having to burn scans. He got to look at what type of the army was, too, so he knows there's not 14 Tempests waiting to snipe off the Liberators. And oh my god, he's gonna go battle cruisers. I saw this fusion core and I just thought Liberator range, right? It makes the most sense. And we have carriers coming out. Oh god. Okay, this really takes me back. Look, I can't say a lot for right now because we're still in that new phase of new maps, new patch, people figuring stuff out, whatever. But I can tell you this, back in the day, like 3 months ago even, not that long ago. Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay. Not that long ago, carriers were actually a really good response to mech, because Thors just didn't quite cut it. But yo, if you guys haven't seen the new Thor, the new patch, these Thors, they absolutely so hard that these carriers are going to get annihilated if they end up in range of the Thors for the fight. The Thor nowadays has a role of being an anti-massive air buster. It's an overall pretty strong unit, but specifically, it targets massive units. 47 damage every 0.91 seconds. To give you guys some context here, a Stalker shoots every 1.34 seconds, and a Stalker shoots fairly quick. The Thor shoots even quicker than a Stalker. So it's like a machine gun that's just meant to knock massive units out of the sky, and that's the artillery fire from the Thor taking down the carriers. But that's in a perfect world. Of course, Thors might be busy fighting the Immortals, and the Zealots charge in, and they can't get close enough to target the carriers. By no means is this a simple game of rock, paper, scissors. This is like rock, paper, scissors, knife in my pocket, gun in my holster, and there's just a lot of other things to consider, right? But I think between the battlecruisers, the Liberators, and the Widowmines, nothing should really get too close to these Thors to cause them problems. There's also a backswing issue right now that I don't know if it's intended or if it's a bug. For those who don't know, basically the Thor has this, its attack is so perfectly set right now that it can shoot the ground, right? And then while the ground gun is on cooldown, it can shoot the air once real quick and then go back to shooting the ground and vice versa. So it's been changed a little bit in that regard, but while I've seen that posted on Reddit, I've still seen no information on whether that's intended or not. Also, yo, these battle cruisers are beefy. Look at these chunky boys. God damn. Hitting the bottom left, he's gonna find 5 carriers. He can teleport out of here though. Interesting use of Yamato. Teleport, of course, does take a second, as you saw there for a brief moment. Goes up to the top right. Perfect place to teleport these two, because that warp prism's just like, nope. That warp prism was playing Dark Souls, walked into the boss room, and just got the F out. But 4 Templar with Storms are going to annihilate SCV lines if Supernova's not careful. But as many of you in chat have been inclined to point out, there is a forest and a great wall of missile turrets down. Does anyone want to take a guess how many missile turrets are presently on the map before I show? Give you guys a second, chat. There's no prizing for this other than knowing you're right. Who's the best guesser? How many missile turrets are currently in play? Revealing the answer in 3, 2, 1. There are 33 missile turrets on the map, which is made better by the knowledge that that's 3,300 minerals that have been spent on missile turrets. Oh, check this Artosis pylon out. Yeah, Supernova's gonna focus that down. 85 damage a shot from the siege tanks. Unpowers 3 of the Stargates. And these are just units, by the way, Supernova wants to get rid of. Tanks, unfortunately, are kind of losing their place in the matchup right now. As the game progresses to more Immortals and more Carriers, tanks are becoming more and more useless. They're not zoning anything out in the Templar or inside the War Prism anyways. So removing tanks from your supply and killing a very important pylon to do so is a pretty slick way to go about it. You can see, of course, Tempests are here. Oh my god, look at that Thor. In like 2 shots, took away almost all the shields from that carrier. I'm not exaggerating. Thors are really strong when used correctly. Unfortunately, that guy was not, though. Rest in peace, brother. Cue the sad MLG music. Actually, I have that. I should probably add that to a soundboard or something, but the battlecruisers go to the bottom left once again. The Thor's backing away a bit from the Archons, but they really should just focus fire down the carriers. Unfortunately, I think there was just so much walking that went on there. There was almost no fighting. So the base trade starts up, question mark. We got the carriers pushing north. We got the battlecruisers pushing south. There's a couple of Widow Mines. Oh god, they need to be removed now. The observer gets here just in time because those were about to reload and unload on top of the carriers. But let's not forget, Supernova could teleport back home at any given moment and try and defend this fight. A lot of the interceptors are actually dead. If he was going to take a dogfight against this army, now would be the time to do it. But he's going to keep pushing and keep forcing this out. A Nexus dead to the bottom left, a command center dead to the top middle. There's extra command centers, sure, but I think for Supernova, this is going to be a lot harder for him to recover from than for Zest. Zest has like a 4K, 3K bank. Losing some Nexus aren't really a problem for him. Oh my god, the Widow Mines. Okay, they are seen. The storm, unfortunately, doesn't quite kill them all. The second one does, though. Oh, man. 159 army supply. A lot of it shoots up. A lot of it's scary. Interceptors will be rebuilt, so Widow Mines going off of them, unfortunately, is not that beneficial. So this guy is trying so hard to fire and just can't unload his payload. Oh, my God. There we go. But yeah, the battlecruisers have done some serious wrecking ball damage, and maybe at some point he's going to teleport home. I don't know. Maybe turtles up around one of these planetary fortresses. He did build like 4 more battlecruisers, but I don't know what happened to them. Oh, they're just hiding in the top left right now. I think he's going to try and teleport away. A question out of the chat from Irrigon Lynx asks, fully upgraded, does a carrier have higher DPS than a battlecruiser? You know what? I think that depends heavily on upgrades and what's fighting what. Like, for example, a battlecruiser with max upgrades, as Supernova has the most armor you can possibly get out of a non-ultralisk at 6. The carrier, fully upgraded, is only hitting for like 8. So, no, not against the battlecruiser, but then maybe it's really better against annihilating buildings and marines. The situation depends. I think overall, though, it's safe to say battlecruisers on average tend to be some of the highest DPS units in the game, especially when you factor in Yamato Cannon just being an instant burst of like 300 damage, or excuse me, 240. I keep forgetting about that change because it was 300 for years. You know, what's funny though, Supernova, he does have these outlier bases with like 100 missile turrets, but all these are going to do is buy time. He has not won the game through these battlecruisers. And I don't know if he's going to teleport home and try and last stand up here, or if he's actually going to straight up just race Zest to death. Either way, this is like an absolute 2 players driving at each other, high speed, high octane game of chicken. The amount of stalkers here beat the battlecruisers. I want to be very clear about that. The amount of stalkers in play will destroy the battlecruisers. Carriers and the Tempest, they'll be a factor, but it's the stalkers that'll win any direct army fight. And I think that's why Supernova is trying to race for buildings, because he doesn't want to fight that army directly. Missile turret down here. I mean, I guess Supernova's got money to just build a bunch of command centers and float to the corners of the map if he needs to. But I don't believe there's anywhere on this map you can go to dead zone. There should be range on all locations, and especially with Tempest still in play. I'm not sure what this Raven's gonna do. Auto turrets, maybe. SCV's pulled to the bottom left. Maybe try to repair a bit. God, I mean, even if, like, hypothetically, Zest was lazy about his blinks and Supernova got off like how many? 11 Yamatos to take out 11 stalkers. that's still 30 something stalkers. Like he just actually can't fight the stalker army. What he has to do is win through buildings. That's why SUVs are attacking. That's why SUVs are attacking the gateways and such. One battlecruiser down here. I mean, as long as he knows where the army is, he can always blink away to avoid it. But that's the problem. Zest has observers on these battlecruisers, and in that 1 second teleport, these stalkers blink in. They're gonna kill all the battlecruisers. Well, not all, but they'll kill like 2 or 3 of them pretty easily. Supernova is very aware of this, which is why he's running. Stopping to teleport is guaranteed death. Maybe running gets out of there, but I think he really should have just teleported and cut his losses. Up to the high ground now. The stalkers will continue to blink if he's not careful. Several battlecruisers split their teleports, some to the top, some to the base over here. I mean, this did bait Zest out of position to defend, technically. But as much as I really want Supernova to win this game, it is going to take a crazy miracle to pull this off. Zest is so hardcore supply blocked by his massive army supply that even if he restarts his base, he can't actually do anything about it. Supernova, on the other hand, isn't trying to build any more units. He's just trying to survive in the game, hoping that the units he has will be enough. But with teleport on cooldown, and God, no way to see these observers. Yeah, it's a massacre. I mean, there's still 3 battlecruisers, and he's still trying his hardest, and he absolutely should. It's game 3 in the series, but I think this is where it comes to an end for Supernova. What a great set, though. You have like a story made through like the worst first game that could have possibly happened for Supernova, an amazing game 2 comeback, and then this kind of like down to the wire decider of the 3. Yeah, this was a good series. This was a great series, but GGs do get called, and Zest will advance to the semifinals. What a wild ride that was, honestly. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I hope you guys did too.